Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we have a very delayed manga review of Chapter 874, King Baum. I'm not so sure what the story was with this chapter coming out so late, for some reason I guess, but hey, we have it now, so let's get into it. Boiling it down to basics, this week's chapter is a car chase, except on a tree and on a cloud. Big Mom is being relentless in hunting down the Straw Hat Pirates, so much so that she uses a very interesting attack known as the Elbaf Spear. Or the Spear of Elbaf, whatever works. Now Luffy picks up on this, but the Spear of Elbaf is an attack used by giants. Way back when in Little Garden, the attack was actually used by Dory and Broggy combined to send the Going Merry flying through a Sea King. However, I also believe that some form of the attack was used by Harudin to defeat Mark Weiss on Dressrosa, although it was named Gunagir specifically. In any case, it was a devastating attack back then, and it's an even more devastating attack now coming from Big Mom. Now it both does and doesn't make sense as to how she actually knows this attack. She obviously grew up on Elbaf for some time in her very early years, but I don't feel like the giants would have combat trained her. They seem to just let the orphans kind of do their own thing. So who knows, maybe she has a deeper history with the giants than we know. I mean, there is still the whole Prince Loki and Lola thing to sort out, so it's entirely possible that at one stage they made up and Big Mom was taught the technique before Lola left. Of course, she may just have learnt it herself while trying to imitate the giants. That's also very possible. Unfortunately, other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of development with Big Mom this chapter. However, we did get quite a bit of stuff with her homies. Starting with the ever-awesome King Baum, who the chapter is named after. Turns out that this crazy tree is engaged. Oh my god, congratulations King Baum. And not only that, but he is engaged to one of my new favorite characters in One Piece named Lady Tree, who looks like a cross between a lady and a tree, if that wasn't obvious. So because of this revelation, King Baum now appears to have some sort of agency over his own life. He mentions later that he cannot disobey Big Mom, however the very thought of Lady Tree is enough to overcome that. Of course he then appears to get eviscerated by Prometheus, but surely King Baum isn't dead. In fact, at this point I'd say he is highly likely to be the recipient of a cover story after Whole Cake Island is done. I can imagine it showing him getting married and living his day-to-day life, settling down with Lady Tree and maybe even having some saplings of his own. But back to matters at hand, and Prometheus, man, this homie seems to embody Big Mom's wrathful side, growing absurdly large and angry when dealing with King Baum. On the other hand, Zeus appears to be Big Mom's childlike innocent side, happily chomping away at the thunderclouds made by Nami, kind of like Pac-Man actually, and almost actually betraying Big Mom just to get more of the little thunderclouds. He's just such an awesomely chill cloud, and he has such a cute cap. I love Zeus all of a sudden. And this is probably a good time to bring up Nami. She's actually the savior of this chapter. Her quick application of weather knowledge saved everyone's lives, even if it was just for a few minutes. Possibly only a few seconds, actually. And I feel like this might be a bit of a trend going forward. It's becoming obvious that the Straw Hats just can't escape Big Mom. So each of them might have a moment using their specialty to hold her off for a bit. And if Oda wanted to get dark, some may possibly even die while doing so. And I'm thinking specifically of Jinbei here. He had a line a fair few chapters back about giving his life for Luffy and how it was not a matter of if, but when. Since then, a lot of people have jumped aboard the Jinbei will die bandwagon, and you know, it's not that outrageous of a theory, really. Of course, I'd personally much rather that he joined the Straw Hats and continued adventuring throughout the series, and I'd still bet that that was the direction that we're taking. I mean, surely we haven't built up this character to this point just to kill him off. On the other hand, Jinbei is missing something very key to becoming a Straw Hat, and that is a dream. Everyone else has some goal that they're working towards far in the distance, but he doesn't really have anything like that. Based on that alone, the Jinbei death theory becomes slightly stronger, but only very slightly. And changing the subject entirely, now that the gang are back in the Seducing Woods, I'm wondering if it might be finally time for Pound to make a comeback. We never really found out what happened to that guy. He got introduced and it seems like he had a greater purpose, and then just never appeared again. In fact, the only reason I remember him at all is because he recently appeared in the anime. I'm sure he has to have some kind of purpose, possibly calming down Big Mom or playing some kind of role in stopping her, and this would be the place for him to make his reappearance. Moving right along, we have another pudding development this chapter, and surprise, she has switched sides again. She started out good, then turned out to be evil, but then was maybe swayed to be good, and then pretended to be quite evil, but now it's been revealed that she is actually good, and seems to genuinely care for Sanji and his friends. And I, for one, couldn't really care less at this point. Although I am disappointed that she's being turned into a typical female One Piece character, but honestly right now I am sick of Pudding. Her character is just so erratic that I legitimately don't know how to feel when she shows up, and not in a good, ooh, that character's mysterious kind of way. Of all of the Charlotte siblings, she's the character I am by far the least excited to see, and annoyingly enough it looks like she's going to be instrumental in helping the Straw Hats escape. So we're rather unfortunately going to see a lot more of her going forward. And the last thing I'll mention is Katakuri, lying in wait on the Thousand Sunny just in case the Straw Hats make it back. I really like that in such a short time he's learnt not to underestimate whatever fate follows Luffy, and he's preparing for every eventuality. If there had to be a final boss battle of this arc, I'd say Katakuri is looking like our man at this point. I'm not sure if Luffy or Sanji, or anybody for that matter, could really take him on alone, but working together, I'm sure the crew could bring down this man who's worth over 1 billion berries. You know, it'll probably be good practice for bringing down Jack. And that pretty much does it for this chapter. It was fast and not particularly satisfying, really. After a break, I think expectations are always high, at least for me, especially when you end your chapter just before the break with Big Mom face to face with the Straw Hats in a fit of anger. But this week's chapter, it happened. I came away from it kind of disappointed, especially because there is another break next week. I haven't felt like this in a while about a One Piece chapter, but I do have to say, in all fairness, this was still a good chapter. Awesome things happened, especially Prometheus going all supernova on King Baum. And I'm sure this chapter will be great fun to read in a volume, but I think it really suffers from being sandwiched by 2 breaks. It just doesn't have enough content or intrigue to hold my thoughts for another 2 weeks. But hey, these are all first world problems. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe. And if you're looking for a One Piece fix to fill the gap in the next week or so, then do check out the other videos of my channel that consist of character analyses, theories, film reviews, top 5 lists, and general One Piece rants. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.